If people often don't understand you and you get a lot of "what? Huh? Come again? I don't get it." Or sometimes you say something and even you have no idea what the hell you just said, then it's probably time to work on your pronunciation. So in this video, I'll share how I improved my pronunciation and even picked up a bit of the American accent. And I really believe this is valuable information that can help you too. First of all, what I've noticed is that a lot of people who are learning English don't really pay attention to their pronunciation. But I think it's actually very important. Yeah, you don't need to sound like a native speaker, but you do need to speak clearly, pronounce the words correctly, and sound natural. If you're in a conversation, you want people to understand you, right? So it is important. Now, let me tell you how I see English pronunciation, just so you understand how it works from my perspective. The way I perceive English pronunciation is soft and smooth. It's full of vowel sounds, and it feels like you have to relax your mouth and just let the words flow. In other languages, it's different. For example, in my native language, Romanian, the pronunciation isn't super hard, but still, it's kind of sharper than English. I also can speak Russian, and if you've ever heard Russian, well, sometimes it sounds like people are swearing, even when they're not. So to me, English always felt soft, relaxed, even lazy in a way. If you say a sentence in English with the Russian accent, it would sound like, "I just want to get out of here." But if you say it with the American accent, it's more like, "I just want to get out of here." Do you hear the difference? English tends to stretch vowels more, and the consonants are often softened or even skipped. Or let's take the word good as an example. When you say it with your native accent, you might pronounce it as good, good. But in English, it's way softer, like good. Everything is good. So what usually happens when you learn a foreign language is you start speaking it with the same accent, same mouth movements as your native language. And that's totally fine if you still sound clear. But if you want to get more advanced and maybe even learn the British or American accent, then you'll have to change a few things, especially your intonation and articulation. So here are a few things I did and you should try too that helped me improve my pronunciation. Listen to a lot of English. It's pretty simple. If you want the American accent, watch American content. British, watch British series or creators. It all starts with listening to the accent and pronunciation you want to learn. It doesn't matter if it's music, movies, or YouTube videos. Whatever works for you. Because by listening, you get comfortable with this language. You hear how it sounds. You find out how to pronounce certain words and expressions. I really like the American accent. So I listened to a lot of American music. I still do. I watched a bunch of TV shows and movies. Honestly, I think 50% of the pronunciation I learned was just from watching and listening. Things like intonation, articulation, the accent, I picked up automatically just by observing how native speakers talk. You could even try this. Listen and repeat. Let's say you're watching a movie and you hear a new phrase or an interesting sentence. Then repeat it a few times. Try to say it out loud exactly like the character in the movie said it. That also can be a very interesting and fun way to practice. And I encourage you not to use subtitles in your native language, because you'll focus more on the translation than what they're actually saying in their pronunciation. Better to use English subs. That's way more effective because you see how words are spelled while hearing how they're pronounced. Learn the key sounds. In English, there are certain sounds that come up all the time, and mastering these will help you pronounce most words correctly. For example, there are short vowels, which are used very often, like in sit, bed, cup, book. Also, there are long vowels, like in day, see, car, food. Then there are consonants, like in pen, top, ship, try, judge. Also, I hear a lot of people mispronounce the TH. They say thank you instead of thank you, or they could say this or this instead of this. So the TH is pronounced two ways, as th in think, south, teeth, something, and also as the in this, those, mother, brother. Think about this. No, think about this. And if you're more interested in the American accent, then there are a few sounds to pay attention to. For example, there's the flap T in water, bottle, better.
Better.
Doesn't really matter who's right or wrong.
Gonna take a little time.
It sounds more like a quick D, while in British it's pronounced like a regular T. Also, there's the American R in never, hard, explore.
New world.
Let's rock and roll.
It's really important, okay?
But an important thing is don't exaggerate it. A lot of people overdo it when they try to sound American. Don't say work, brother. Like, don't do that. In British English, the R is softer or even silent after vowels. They say never, hard, explore. Like, I'm not really good at doing the British accent, as you can tell, but you get the idea. So what I'd suggest is go on YouTube and search for most common English sounds, and you'll find tons of videos to help you learn these. Read out loud. This is honestly one of the best ways to practice pronunciation, especially if you're learning on your own. Pick a book or anything you like and just read it out loud. But here's the important part. Try to imitate the accent you're learning. I used to do this a lot, and I wouldn't just read like a robot, you know? I'd try to say it like I'm actually talking to someone in real life. You know, it might feel awkward or uncomfortable to try a new accent or new pronunciation when talking to someone. So it helps to start practicing at home by yourself. And yeah, in the beginning, pronouncing words in a different way than you're used to might sound terrible, but that's totally fine. Because by consistently reading out loud, talking to yourself, you'll get better, feel more confident, and you'll have no problem using that new pronunciation you learned when you communicate with others. And when you're reading, you'll come across new words. When that happens, don't just look up their meaning, but also listen to how they're pronounced. Actually, Google has a great feature for this if you didn't know. So you just need to go on Google and type a word. Let's say the word is development. And then type pronunciation. And here you have it. You can even choose between American and British English. And just tap here.
Development.
And you can hear it. There's even this slow mode, and it's gonna say it's slow.
Development.
Good stuff. Link words and use contractions. English is fast, and especially native speakers use a lot of contractions and link words together when they talk. This is one of the reasons why it's so hard to understand natives at first. Here's what I mean by linking words. Most of the time, they don't say, "What are you doing?" They say, "What you doing?"
What you doing? What you doing?
They don't say, "I am going to make this work," but say, "I'm gonna make this work."
I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna blow the lid off this place.
I'm gonna take care of it.
Can you hear the difference? I am trying to do my best versus I'm trying to do my best. Like, I am trying to do turns into I'm trying to do, and my best turns into my best. And it sounds like I'm trying to do my best. When you want to sound more natural in English, you don't pronounce every word separately, but you kind of combine them together. And using contractions helps you even more with that. Instead of saying I am, you are, she is, they are, you can say I'm, you're, she's, they're. These are called contractions. English really feels like a lazy language because most of the time you don't even fully pronounce the words. You can drop sounds, skip letters, shorten things. For example, you can drop the G in ing words. Instead of saying doing, you can say doing. Making, making. Working, working. Or let's take a sentence like I would have done that if I had the opportunity. Guess how natives say it. I would have done that if I had the opportunity. I would have done that turns into I would have done that. Simple.
I would have run right into the robbers.
I would say bite them.
So yeah, don't be afraid to use contractions and connect words. It'll make you sound way more natural and less robotic. Now look, doing all this stuff won't make you sound like a native speaker overnight. That's not the point. But if you do these things consistently, you will improve your pronunciation and maybe even lose some of that heavy native accent if that's something you want, of course. But I want you to know there's absolutely nothing wrong with having an accent as long as people get what you're saying. Accents are awesome. They show where you're from, and honestly, it's very cool to hear someone speak English with an accent you've never heard before. That's pretty much it. Thanks so much for watching this video, and see you next time. You noticed? I didn't say I will see you next time. I said see you next time.